You are alive. I am alive. Sean. Sean Young. Sitting with Sean. Clash of the Casters. What's up?
What's happening?
Hello today.
Hello. And my best Danhausen voice. Hello.
Is that what that was?
It was an attempt. I'm sorry. I'm terrible.
Bro, don't call yourself terrible. Let's be nicer to ourselves.
I try. Sometimes I'm not the best at it.
Maybe take a sip of water and try the Danhausen impression again.
Okay. All right. Hello. Still not there. I got to work on it. I get to meet his good friend Orange Cassidy tomorrow, so I will be like, "Tell me your ways."
You got to do like the little Zorak hands. The Zorak hands. I wrestled Orange Cassidy in like 2005 when he was JC Ryder in the New Jersey All Stars.
Oh wow!
So yes, it's been a long time.
That's awesome.
I have not seen him again since then. I was talking to Scandal noted. I was hanging out with Icarus. Icarus was over my house, and we were talking about JC. We were talking about Orange Cassidy recently, but I have not actually seen him or talked to him in years. But his friend, who was in the Jersey All Stars, Kevin. Do you know Lucky 13? He like wrestles for GCW.
Yes,
I'm friends with him.
Nice.
I'm friends with that guy, but I am not really friends with Orange Cassidy.
We are friends with some of the most obscure people.
Right. These are degrees of separation. So like so like niche. No one even gives one single shit about it.
Right. Not a single damn.
I frequently say that like most of the people I ever encounter don't know shit about wrestling, don't know shit, like don't know what podcasting even is, which is really funny because to some people who are in podcasts, it's like the biggest deal in the world. Like, oh, everyone's got a podcast. Everybody listens to podcasts. But like in reality, only like 5% of the population.
Yeah.
Really
yeah. And
it does.
And it's crazy like getting into podcasting because you start meeting people who have those weird connections. Right. So like I have a buddy up here. His name is Brandon. I interviewed him. He was, I think, my first guest on Extraordinary. And this man used to be a wrestler in Idaho, I think, somewhere obscure. And then he moved up here to Alaska. And he's been a DDP yoga, like, I guess he was practicing. And then he started taking the classes to become an instructor. Now he's a full-blown instructor. And like, so this dude has like crazy stories out the wazoo about everything. And I'm just in awe and shock as a wrestling fan, just sitting here and be like, okay, tell me more.
How come there's never been a wrestler with the gimmick name Wazoo?
That's a good question.
There should be a wrestler who like he's got everything he has is in abundance. It's such an abundance. Everything he has, there's an abundance of it.
If he has a manager, he has 10 of them.
Right.
If he has a title, he walks out with everyone ever made.
Right. But it's kind of like he's got OCD. So like he'll give somebody a body slam and then he has to body slam them like abundance of times.
An elbow. He gets an elbow and he gets it wrong. He's like, okay, hold on 1 second. Go back up.
Call him Wazoo McDaniel.
Wazoo McDaniels. or the start of his career, right? He's trying to get abundance of everything, and he finally gets it, and it's just he cannot stop getting everything.
His promos will consist of "What's you gonna do, brother? What's you gonna do, brother?"
No, listen here, brother.
Do you listen to Dudesy?
No, I haven't heard of Dudesy.
Have you heard of it?
No.
It's like Will Sasso and this guy Chad Colchin. They're like they like gave all their social media, all of their like logins to everything to this AI, and they were like, let the AI run their podcast, and it like comes up with topics, and they got to do the topics. It's awesome. But
that is awesome.
If you're listening to this podcast and you've never heard Dudesy before, turn this off. Don't listen to me anymore. Go right to Dudesy Pod Show on Instagram and on YouTube.
Oh shit!
But he constantly does Hulk Hogan impressions, and the reason I brought it up because he's like, brother, but and now I have my girlfriend constantly saying dude and brother in Hulk Hogan voices. I think you froze on me. You feel like somebody's freezing here. I'll give it a minute. Fuck. Shit. Shit. So I'm still alive, but I'm by myself. I'm showing all the folks this knife that my brother got me. Ain't this neat? Anybody who's listening to the audio will only hear me showing this knife that my brother got me.
So here's the bad thing about Alaska internet, dude. Is it like I could be one spot and get perfect service, and then I move 10 feet away, and it's just like boom, gone.
What about like a wired connection? Have you? Does that even happen with wired connections?
I'm in my basement. It's kind of creepy, right? I'm in my basement, and my router's upstairs.
Well,
I have a weird story about the basement, though.
Okay.
So
I'm ready to hear it.
All right. So yesterday I'm cooking, right? And I go live on TikTok and I cook, and it's my way to connect with people. People like to watch me cook, and we listen to music, whatever. What's
your TikTok?
It's called Beard of the Gods.
I'm gonna follow it right now.
Yes. So anyways, I'm cooking and I hear this loud bang next to me, right? And it's a bang and I can feel it through the floor. And everybody on my live heard it as well. I ran down here, nothing. There was nobody down here. And there was no animals in my kitchen, nothing. So I'm sitting there and I'm telling people about some of the weird shit that's been happening. And next thing I know, I see a movement outside my window. And I was like, oh, here we go. Spooky season started.
What was it? Unexplainable?
Yeah, it was unexplained. Like I have no idea. I sat here and I tried to. I think it was a ghost, but I mean, I've had some weird stuff happen here. Nothing terrifying, nothing scary. Mm-hmm. Just normal things, normal weird bumps in the night, cold spots, weird smells that just don't make sense to me. That but outside of that, I mean, nothing crazy.
My webcam keeps coming unplugged. So I'm using the one that's attached to the laptop.
No problem.
Just explaining it to the people who may be watching and being like, what the hell's going on? But I started doing the other night. I was using this camera, this one right here that I'm looking into right now. Hello. I was using it because I have a TV here now, and I was watching wrestling on here, on like live on my Twitch.
Yeah.
That it's a cool thing to have that. I didn't have this TV in here before, but now I do, and I was actually watching Jersey Shore Family Vacation.
Nice.
live on TikTok the other night.
Now you
not on TikTok. I don't have enough followers to go live on TikTok.
Now you can do the sports entertainment watch. You know, the nice body posture forward and your head tilted to the side watching the TV.
Well, I kind of feel like when Batman was in the airplane. Was that too specific, or was that perfect and you knew exactly what I was talking about?
That was perfect. I know what you're talking about.
Yes. Celebration.
Speaking of Batman, have you seen Badman, the parody of Batman?
Is it Pete Holmes?
Yes.
Yes, I have seen.
Oh my God, it is the funniest thing I've ever fucking seen on YouTube.
I don't know if I talk about it enough on this podcast, but Pete Holmes is one of my favorite comedians, and for sure an inspiration for me wanting to start my podcast. His podcast is still one of my favorite podcasts. I listen to it every week.
I love Pete Holmes. That dude is so funny. Yeah. He is ridiculous. Let me go get my chair. I had to move. 1 second.
So I will eventually get this webcam situation situated where this isn't going to happen anymore. But you know what's weird is like the microphones and the cameras. Like it's like something with these like USB ports on this computer like sucks so bad that once I like bump it, even the littlest bit, like even if like I move the table a little bit, it comes unplugged. It's like the USB ports were made directly in a town that specializes in poopy.
They undersize things that are supposed to be normal sized.
Yeah, they're not part of the cool kids club, in my opinion.
So you live in Pittsburgh, yeah?
No, I live in like the suburbs of Philly.
Oh, okay. I grew up in Erie. I don't know if you know Erie, Pennsylvania, but I grew up there.
I know what it is. I'm not very familiar with it.
I'm never moving back there again.
Was it creepy? Because I know that like they did like some episode. They had like I think a show based around Erie PA, and I think it might have been called Erie PA or something like that. And it about just a bunch of creepy stories from.
They have some weird locations there. They have like a warship from the War of 1812 up there that was sunk and got repurposed or something, brought back up to the surface and rebuilt.
Exhumed,
yes, brought back.
Yes.
They have some other weird places that I don't know if you've watched the murder mystery on Netflix called Evil Genius, but that took place in Erie.
No.
Oh, it's good. It was actually right around the time when I was leaving to join the Army. It was about this lady who had hired this pizza delivery man to go and rob a bank, but he had a neck collar on that was a bomb. And then if any police got If any police got involved, he would have gotten blown up, and he got blown up.
Did they base the movie 30 minutes or less off of that?
Probably.
Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
With Aziz Ansari.
Yeah.
And, who else was in that movie?
It was
Dan McBride in that movie. Or Jesse Eisenberg.
Seth Rogen.
Jesse Eisenberg, was he in that?
I think he was. Oh, let's look it up. Who's the kid?
I don't want to look it up.
Okay, it's not worth it.
I know what I'm talking about, and you know what I'm talking about. I know that you know what I'm talking about, and I know that you know that I know what I'm talking about.
You're right.
So it's fine to not Google it.
Okay.
I'm trying to like cut down on my like scratching every itch. Like for like if I'm wondering about a thing and I like I'm like, well, I'm gonna sit and think about it before I'm gonna like Google it. Because it's so easy to Google anything and everything all the time.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just think about it, and if it's bothering me later, I'll look it up later.
Well, the crazy thing is when Google contradicts itself. When the links you click on Google contradict itself. So someone had made a comment to me, and I was looking up the name of the person that they referenced. And then one, it was like, this guy was a war hero, and he fought for X, Y, and Z, you know, when he got back home. And then there's another one that said that dude was a traitor. What? How does that even work?
Real contradictory. Real contradict head. You missed that one. Alaska Internet. Nah, homie. All right.
Alaska Internet, man.
Alaska Internet.
And this is the problem that I have with Alaska Internet, is it does not affect my computer. It affects my Xbox. It can affects my phones, everything. And if we have like mild to terrible weather, all internet's gone.
Well, like even if you have anything wired to the router, is the router's bad?
It's not just me. I thought that the router was bad, and I thought the modem was bad, but it's everybody. If it's not one person, it's everybody. And so like Alaska, we only have 3 internet providers. So we got GCI, which is who I have, and they're bad. We have another one that's provided by the state, and then we have one called MTA. And MTA goes like, we're really like, where I live, we're on the border of all 3, but only one provides service where I live at. And the other one, if I were to go if I would move 5 minutes up the road, they'd be able to service us.
That's how they get you.
We need Starlink.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way.
There has to be. And the sad thing is like, I have Verizon as my cell phone carrier. And I went to them and I said, are you guys doing Wi-Fi up here finally? Because I heard that they were getting into Wi-Fi. And they were like, yes, but not right now.
Verizon's what I have here. That's what internet I have here.
Yeah. They just don't have any Wi-Fi services up here yet. Yeah. So we're stuck with mediocre internet, terrible internet, or really good internet if I move 5 minutes up the road. The dilemma.
So what sources do you use for your wrestling news? Because you seem to be like a really well-educated fan of wrestling.
So I've been straying away from the dirt sheets because A lot of them, I've started to realize a lot of the dirt sheets that I'm reading are very biased. Either one. Two, they're highly uneducated standpoints, or three, they reference another dirt sheet that is like, I'd never said that. So it's like, what do we believe, right?
It
So
seems like a lot of it comes. They go, oh, Mike Johnson of PW Insider says this, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, why do I have to go to you? Why don't I just go directly to Mike Johnson for everything?
right. And I read something that, and this is what really got me, is I read something and they referenced Sean Scott's, I think Sean Sapp or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And literally the next post up, he commented and said, I never said that. And I was like, okay, this enough. I'm
It's
done.
like Fightful Select or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I was Twitter cool. I wish I had a big enough following on Twitter or on TikTok. I'd love to like be able to go live on TikTok, which I can't do, but I go live on this new app. I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
It's just like audio only lives, but I've really been digging it.
Nice.
It's called Genius. So I've been going live on that, and like you're able to save the audio files onto your podcast feed. You can podcast that audio, but like I just haven't done it yet.
Nice.
But I plan to eventually do that. But
nice.
So far I've only been like going live to like watch along to stuff. I haven't like talked to anybody on there yet because like I mean, what the hours are kind of weird whenever I get a chance to go on, and it's dude, since July I've been like hired. I've been hired and started like 3 different jobs.
Oh wow!
I got laid off from my at-home job in July.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was working at TGI Fridays as a server. And and I was working at my gym, both, kind of part-time. And then I got hired at this other restaurant that was like, the guy just like showed me around. The guy didn't show me around. The guy just was like, we make good money here. We have very ingredients here. And he was like, the reason we do this. And he was like going over all the specifics of the menu. But he never showed me the kitchen. He never introduced me to a goddamn person. I was there for like 4 days, and I was like, bro, I'm weirded out by all this. Like, I gotta like know all this stuff, but I don't know who any of these people are. I don't know what this place even looks like. Like, I only ever saw the front room of that restaurant.
Jeez.
And I was like, I gotta maybe see some. I gotta venture out and see what other options are. And then I found this job that I was like, oh, this is going to be great for me. The place is called, I don't know if I should say it, but it's like an online casino where I'd have to be like an on-screen role. And I'm into it. I want to be like, I applied for what I would do would be hosting, and I would just like hold a microphone and like talk about the game and crack jokes and stuff, which is exactly what I'd like to do. But they were like, but first you got to learn how to deal blackjack. And also like to deal blackjack, you have to also like have a shuffle. And the shuffle consists of like, here's 8 decks of cards, stack them all up at once, and then cut them in half and spin the one all the way in a 180 degrees, and then you take little one like handful off of the big stacks, and shuffle them together, and put that tower back together 3 times, and then the third shuffle you have to you do you shuffle them all together, and then you like split it, and then you shuffle it again and then put it in that pile. And you have to have that done within 5 minutes. I am clumsy, klutz, and uncoordinated. I cannot do it in less than 8 minutes. So I'm like, okay, well, today I went and got my job back at Fridays. I was like, all right, I know I could do that. And it's also like I was to do that casino job, I'd have to drive a half hour every day to work at Fridays. It's 10 minutes down the street from my house.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't trust my car. I don't trust my car enough to make that drive every single day. My car is 13 years old or something, and it's pushing 200,000 miles. So I'm gonna wait till I got enough money.
Right. It's a matter of convenience.
To upgrade my vehicle situation.
Right. It's a matter of convenience.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm gonna miss like coming in here. Like this office, I've been working from home. I was working from home for like 3 months. Only 3 months. They hired me in April, and then they laid me off in July. They said they loved me and had nothing to do with performance, but like the program was making cuts and I didn't have the seniority. And they're like, if it makes you feel better, we let a couple other people go too. And I'm like, no, it doesn't make me feel better. How the hell would that make me feel better?
Yeah.
Shucks.
Asinine statements.
Yes. I'm okay suffering alone. I don't need to have other people suffering too to make me feel better.
Right. Hey, let's bring everybody on this suck bandwagon. Let's go do it.
Yeah. So you've done tons of podcasts, right? Like I know your podcasts. You're currently under 50 episodes for the new show. Yep. But you've done podcasts before that, right? You had another show.
Nope.
No.
So I wanted to start doing podcasting, and I was just really nervous, and I was like, I started getting in my own head. Am I going to be good at it? This, that, and the third. And the first time that I met Jukebox, and we did that Clash of the Casters where we were talking about spirituality. Afterwards, I was like, dude, I had so much fun. And he was like, do you have a theme? And I was like, generally I have a theme. He was like, go with it. Just do it. And I was like, and he was like, do it. Just don't hold back. Do it. And I started asking him for him and Embalm. I was like, hey, what tips do you have for me? Constructive criticism, I'm down. And I took what they said. I bought a new mic, put headphones on. And next thing I know, I'm rolling them out. But I had to learn, like, for myself, because Jukebox warned me. He's like, dude, don't go head first in. He's like, you got to tread in, He's like, don't go head first in or you're going to wear yourself out. And, like, I wore myself out in, like 20 episodes. It was all the time, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day I was recording. And I got to this point where I was like, okay, I need to start getting a schedule going and keeping that schedule. So my recording days are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I post on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I love it. I enjoy it. And it's a way for me to connect with people again. Because I don't really leave my house unless I absolutely have to.
You work from home?
I'm medically retired from the Army. I'm 100% disabled from the VA, so technically not allowed to work. But I do a lot of outreach for recovery, for mental health and substance abuse, and I work with veterans that are justice involved, so I mean, I do that, and I make myself available. There's a handful of people that call me every day and are like, "Hey, I want to check in, just so you know I'm good." And I'm like, "Okay, cool, I'm down."
Cool, man. I mean, people need you for that. Like,
Yeah,
especially because like you're somebody who's like come from stuff. Like
yeah,
you've lived through some shit. You know some, experience. You're coming from a place of like real compassion, not
yeah.
just going like, "Oh, I'll listen to you," but like I don't have much to say about anything.
hmm
Like
One of the things. Go ahead.
you got the dirt on your nails,
Yeah, yeah.
figuratively.
The one thing that I had to learn when I started getting into this is that there's two or three type of people that will contact somebody like me. One is the person that just needs somebody to listen to them, and you just shut up and you don't say anything. And then if they ask for advice, you give it to them. Then there's other people that are calling for advice or suggestions, and then you have to decipher how to go about doing that, and making sure that you're giving them the right advice, and making sure that it's appropriate for the situation. And then three, there's just people that are calling to bitch and complain, and not saying like bitching and complaining like that's bad, but because that's not how I take it. But in society, that's how people say bitching and complaining. But people that call and they just need to get shit off their chest, and that's all they want.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I've had to learn to decipher that, and learn that that I need self care. Like for me, self care is really important. Especially like recently, I had a kid that contacted me, and he had a suicide attempt very recently, and it took a lot on me. It took a lot out of me because I had one too a few years ago, and so I remembered exactly how he felt or how I felt in my situation, and him describing exactly what happened with him, and the sequence of events. I felt the same way, but I had to realize like I can't take his problems into myself.
Mhm.
Like his problems are his problems, and I could be there to be a friend and listen to him, but I can't take his problems on and try and get him the help he needs. He has to do that on his own.
That's a tough decision to know that it's time to make,
hmm
because a lot of times we let other people's problems become our problems quickly,
Yeah.
because we're we're sometimes it's there's some different factors to it. Sometimes it's like we're addicted to being a savior. Sometimes we're addicted to chaos is an addictive drug. Sometimes
Mhm.
people's egos need chaos.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
especially
Yeah.
sometimes people need to be able to be like they need to seem like they're the savior
Yeah.
for somebody else's chaos, and then like in turn taking on all of their stress.
Yeah. Yeah. I have people that come to me like, "Oh, you got all the answers." I'm like, "No, I don't." I said I know what worked for me, and that's what I tell people is what worked for me. But I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to have all the answers. I can barely fix my own fucking problems. I can't fix other people's.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's it's a slippery slope to have people like lean all their weight on you,
hmm hmm
because like they'll do it because sometimes people, it's like they're programmed to do that. They're
hmm
programmed to just kind of like distribute their yuck
hmm
around so that it's not as yuck inside of them.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that there's a lot of people that have dependency issues, not substance dependency, but dependency on other people, codependency.
Codependency, yeah.
Yeah, and so like they feel the need to relate their pain with somebody else, and if that person or people leave, then they don't know how to respond. I've had people call me and say, "I lost my kids. I don't know how to move on. My kids are my life." And I'm like, well, it's terrible. I'm sorry you lost, custody, but like you have to, like you're saying that your kids are your life and you don't want to go on, and you lost custody of them, but you have to continue on for your kids because it's not going to be like this forever. It only sucks temporarily. it's not going to be like this forever. So I think I've noticed that there's a big trend of people that have codependency issues, and we're never taught that it's okay to be alone.
Yeah. I think more people need positive role models.
Yeah.
And like I said, like sometimes when somebody F's up and they like say something that gets them canceled, I'll say, who were they surrounding themselves with who told them it was okay to speak this way? Who were they surrounding themselves with who weren't calling them out on this and saying, hey, this is not okay to objectify women this way. It's not okay to, it's not okay to just consequence-free living.
Yeah.
That's a word I've been using a lot lately about consequence-free, because like I feel like that's the way a lot of matches get called sometimes. Like I've been watching a lot of NXT lately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like their moves, like it feels like some of the matches they're just doing moves to do moves, and there's no real consequence to anything. There's not really any psychology behind it. It's just like, all right, well, we know that moves happen, and then the finish happens.
Yeah.
Like it's like the I think the complaint for a really long time was that things were so formulaic. But now it seems like the formula is gone, and the move's sake has kind of replaced the overly produced formula.
I feel I would agree with you, and I feel like wrestling has lost its touch in ring psychology. To be honest, we're not seeing the likes of Jake the Snake anymore. We're not seeing the likes of the Fiend. I'm a huge fan of Bray Wyatt, absolute huge fan of Bray Wyatt, and I would dare say like he is in my top 5 of the past 20 years. Just because of his ring presence and the storytelling that he does. Like a lot of people, like casual fans wouldn't know that he has been talking about the Fiend about 5 or 6 years before it even became a thing.
Yeah.
And
he was planting them seeds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And everything that he did, every promo he did had a purpose behind it. It was purpose driven. It told a story, and it would lead up to the Fiend. And it was just small little hints that if you never picked up on it, you would never know. We're also not living in the times of Jake the Snake, where Jake was just super cryptic all the time.
Well, my problem, I don't want to say problem, but it's for sure like it's a light opinion about Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't say or do anything to make you overly like or dislike him. Like as far as like he's not being a heel, like a hateable heel, or being a likable face. It's like, what are you doing? Like why make care more? Like I get that like your words are important, and like it almost gives you chills that how much he believes what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But like point that in a direction that will make more sense to the non-fan. I think that's who we need to push the wrestling business towards, the non-fan, because all fans are lapsed now. At this point, wrestling fans, they're not really wrestling fans anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience that AEW is going for is the niche, like the crowd that is already going to watch it.
Yeah.
And we should be aiming towards the crowd who wouldn't have already been watching it.
Yeah. I do know that like AEW has brought back fans that have left WWE for years. Like for instance, my dad will not turn on WWE because of the programming that they had been putting out. But he also watched everything from the golden era up to include the attitude era. And he's like, this reminds me of the attitude era. And I was like, I disagree, to be honest. It doesn't remind me of the attitude era. Sure, the blood, I said, but there's a lot of things that the attitude era did wrong. That is, in my opinion, that I feel it did wrong. There's a lot of good that came out of it, but a lot of wrong as well.
What's weird to me, and this is going to come as a criticism, but like it's not. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. But the thing is, like, we're going to fully be shown that it's a work in one segment and fully be expected to suspend our disbelief in another segment right after that. Like the structuring of the shows needs to be like more like gone over with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're going to see this angle where a guy's like really mad about something where like he can't keep his cool because he's so angry about it. And then we're going to see some guy in jeans with his hands in his pockets throwing like little sissy kicks. And like in like the next segment, it's bizarre, you know? Like, can you imagine seeing like Eddie Kingston versus Orange Cassidy? And like the levels of this is a shoot versus this is a work.
Yeah.
It'd be tough. Tough. But I mean, and then it's also like, bro, these forearms are terrible and they're overdone and like they never look good. Like your world champion is, if he's going, I'm gonna bathe in your blood. I'm violent, and then he goes, me. It's like, oh, what are you doing? And that like arm trap elbows thing,
that
looks so terrible. Like, does that not look bad? Looks phony and dingbatty. Like, why would the person stand there and take it? Why wouldn't they just go, give me my arm back? Like, if it's a shoot, why would somebody just go, okay, all right, go ahead, throw elbows at my chest that you're barely connecting with? Because like when Bryan Danielson did them back in Ring of Honor back in the day, it looked like it was a shoot. Like it looked like he was really destroying people's jaws. But like when Jon Moxley does it, it looks like meh.
Yeah. And that's why I consider Danielson to be one of the best professional wrestlers alive, because he can make anything look believable. Those stomps that he does are
the kick his fucking up, his head off.
When he grabs the hands and just traps the arms and just starts kicking the jaw, I'm like, oh my god.
What's kind of strange to me about it is I'm with you on that. I think that Daniel Bryan is the shit. Like I think Bryan Danielson is the shit. I just can't get past the fact that like his face never changes. Like he doesn't sell shit. He doesn't sell shit with his face. He's like, like if somebody chops him, he's like it's like this guy's making you look amazing and you're not doing that for him, and that's kind of sucks a little bit. But there's certain guys that like I watch that are super cringy when they sell shit. I love Dolph. I love Dolph Ziggler's sells. Like he sells that shit like a pro. And you can literally throw him off the top of the cage, and this dude is going to be getting wheeled out in a stretcher, and he's going to be gone for a month, right? But then you got other guys that no sell the shit. Like I love Pentagon, but he's another one, Pentagon Jr. He's another dude that doesn't sell shit. Like, and it's weird because you got a polar opposite, right? You got Pentagon, and those dudes are perfect examples of that. Like. That perfect examples of the like, okay, we're all accepting and believing that this is a work, and like gonna go, okay, we'll suspend our complete disbelief of this, and then try to get aggressive in your face about like choose a lane on this one.
Yeah. Quick question. What do you feel about the CM Punk return and like everything that's transpired over the year?
I'm a huge CM Punk fan. I've always been a huge CM Punk fan. I kind of am hoping it's a little bit of a work, but I do think that the way shit has been running, as far as like, and I've been saying it forever, All Elite Wrestling, the fact that you named the company All Elite, and it's like, it means that like you got to be in this friend group to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that always showed red flags to me. I think like many cases, I don't know the Young Bucks, nor have I ever met them, but I know lots of people who they've, buried and really, really like blackballed and shit on. And like, it's almost like they're like the nerds who convinced the jocks that they were better than them.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. Like, I don't know. This is all like third party from afar from what I've seen, but it seems like I've been anti friend favors all of wrestling, like my whole wrestling career. That might be why I'm nowhere. Maybe that's why I've never made a career and like made a living off of this shit. But it's like, bro, like, where's the meritocracy? It's all based off of who you know, who you're friends with, who you pretend is cool, who you glad hand to.
Yeah.
And that bothers me some. Like, okay.
I used to love the Bucks, and when AEW started up, I was like, no, they're not as good as I thought they were.
It's like the same match every single time.
Yeah,
and
you got
like,
flippy dip shit.
Take a minute and a half to set up a spot that you're gonna do, and it's like everybody here doesn't believe that this is a shoot, not for even 1 second. Like
that's why I fully love FTR. Like, and I actually have gained a new appreciation for FTR as a tag team, because they did work in NXT, WWE, and then now AEW, and even on the independents. Like, they have put work in, and their matches are quality matches. They're not doing flippy dip shit.
I think that's going to go back to me saying like a thing, the politicking of the Young Bucks to like get the belts off of them, off of a team who's not even a team, as to not have to wrestle FTR again to like round out the rubber match. It just seemed like very political, and it seemed like, oh, we're EVPs, we can pull this off.
Yeah.
Well, all we want to do, and forgive me for sounding like Cornette. I love Cornette. I listen to Cornette all the time, but like, for sure, it's like, oh, well, let's get these belts off of us so that we get these other belts and play with our trampoline friends.
Yeah.
And
I don't think that they should have ever been EVPs in the first place. Like, them, Kenny Omega or Cody, they should never have been EVPs, because one, you're no longer a peer when you're in that position.
But like, they're not doing anything with those roles besides giving their friends jobs.
Yep.
There are so many people who wrestle in AEW. When I watch them wrestle, I go, how does this person make a living off of this business? And I never have.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Bro, like, it just hit fucking 20 years that I've been Corey Castle.
Damn.
I've been wrestling as Corey Castle longer than I was alive previous to wrestling as Corey Castle.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Who would you say is your top 5 of all time?
Top 5 of all time? Triple H, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle. It's an ever-changing list. It used to always be number 1 was Chris Jericho, but I don't want to be mean and say like it feels like he's become a parody of himself.
He has though.
But yeah, it's kind of how it is. I saw a video today comparing the Big Show getting the ECW championship to Chris Jericho winning the Ring of Honor title. And I was like, yeah, it does kind of feel that way, huh?
Yeah, it does. I don't think he had any. I don't think that he should have had it. And I know that they're going to say, oh, it's because of TV deal for Ring of Honor, and that's cool and everything, but you had the belt on Claudio.
Right.
A man that
knew so quick.
Yeah. Yeah, a man that could have had that title and run with that title, and they could have said, hey, look, here's a Ring of Honor original that went to WWE, was successful, came back, and he wants to help Ring of Honor out as their champion.
Right.
I mean, they could even put it on Bandito. Bandito's a goddamn animal.
This match that he had last past week was the first time I've ever seen him wrestle before.
This is the first time I've ever seen a full match of his. I've seen other highlights from other matches, but I think that he was undersold because it was Jericho.
I was thinking while the match was happening that was with Jericho this past week, I was like, oh, it's like Jericho's wrestling one of the Spy versus Spy guys.
I thought the same thing because he came out with the hat.
Yeah, and the bandana hanging off. I was like, kind of looks like one of the Spy versus Spy dudes.
Yeah, I love Jericho, but I feel like he needs to stop trying to hang with some of these younger guys, like, and even guys that are outside of his, like, at the time his style. Like, there's no reason he should have fought Juventud again.
Bro, did you watch?
That was terrible, hard to watch.
Ungood, very not good.
Yeah, that was terrible.
The blood and guts this past time was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for the company. Like this is the presentation where you can hook the people who aren't fans. Like cage matches and stuff is always a bigger draw. So if you got more audience eyes on it, you're just going to show them this stuff is all getting messed up. Like they were like stalling on top of the cage for a while. And then you watch like Jericho scream, tell Claudio to get up here. Like, where's Claudio at? And it was like, and I was like, this seems like too stalled and too contrived.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like they tried to top the previous one and they can't. Like, it was cool to see Sammy get thrown off the top of it, but who would have had more, had a better reception if he got thrown off the top was Eddie Kingston. That would have made more sense, right? Because for the past 2 or 3 blood and guts, the heels have won, right? So why would this be any different? You want the faces to get a win, but you could have the faces pick up a win against Mox because that would set up for your championship match or another feud match or Danielson. I mean, they knocked Danielson out, for Christ's sake, in the Stadium Stampede match or whatever it was called.
Right.
I mean, you could have had them do the same thing. Or, I mean, no, Danielson wasn't in it. It was Claudio. But still, I mean, you could have had Wheeler Yuta eat the pin. It's not going to hurt him. It didn't make sense.
Who's your top 5?
Top 5. Okay. And this is going to be controversial just based off of the name alone. And this is in no particular order, but Benoit, Angle. I have to agree with Triple H. Regal.
I want to say X-Pac too.
X-Pac's good.
High up on my list.
X-Pac is good. Sting. I'd have to throw Sting in there. And Benoit's a controversial name every time I say it. People are like, how could you like him? He was a great in-ring worker.
I won't say it because, I mean, dude, work rate is important. Somehow work rate is important now, but like there's so much poor work rate now.
Yeah.
So it's such a weird time.
Yeah.
It's such a weird time right now because like work rate is supposed to be important, but like so many people don't have it who are pushed to the moon.
Yeah.
Like I think there is, and how can I say this with still being somebody who would like to make a living in this business and not be across as a jerk or a hater, but like
not bury yourself.
There is so much over push talent in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like overhyped, overbooked, over pushed talent and for me, it makes me feel like a jerk to say somebody doesn't deserve the push that they're getting. Yeah. Because like I want everybody to deserve everything they're getting, for sure. And the only way to get it is to have it and see how you go with it. But dude, the amount of people's faces who don't change, like fuck, change your fucking face. Like that was the first thing I learned in wrestling was like, yo, don't act like you belong here. Yeah. I want to see on your face that you believe you belong here. Like that was one of like the very important things. Eddie Valentine was one of my trainers, and he focused a lot of energy on making sure when I step in that ring, I believed I belonged there. And especially now, because the place is called Elite. And the word that he used back in 2001 was elite. He was like, he said something like, okay, you're here because you believe that you belong here, right? The amount of like baseball teams in every school, there's a football team in every school, there's a wrestling team in every school, there's a karate schools on strip malls. How many wrestling schools are there? You had to seek it out and you had to believe that you belonged there so much. You're part of the elite. You believed enough that you were elite enough to be here above all the other people who would have never known this place existed. Like I forgive me because that probably wasn't the wording he used, but that was the lessons. That was the lessons inside of it. And that'll be something I say to everybody. If I teach any kind of seminars or anything, I'm like, show me in your face that you believe that you belong here. Yeah. Do everything you do on purpose, serving the purpose that you are somebody who belongs here to do this.
Right. There's one other person that I enjoy, but I'm getting to that point where it's like enough is enough. I love Darby Allin. I love his story. I love the resiliency that he has.
Yeah, he's great. He's awesome.
He is. The problem that I have, and I have two, is how am I supposed to believe small 5'5", 120-pound soaking wet Darby Allin can beat an absolute animal like Brody King?
But you're also seeing a guy in jeans with his hands in his pockets throwing weak ass kicks to everybody. So
no, and I believe that too.
Right. So like we're agreeing to let our suspension of disbelief sway one way or the other.
Yeah.
There's a phrase that I've been using for a while now that I'm trying to get it to go viral, and I want everyone to say it. And please use this. If you give me credit for it, cool. If you don't, whatevs. But when it comes to like not being able to tell if something's a work or a shoot, like, a work shoot, I've been calling that gray fade.
Gray fade.
Gray fade, because it's like it's not fully black or white. It's kayfabed, so it's gray fade.
Yeah,
it was also like when people break kayfabe on their social medias and post pictures with their opponents. That's gray fade to me.
Yeah, that's my problem. That's my problem with Darby is how am I supposed to believe a 120-pound dude can destroy or can beat Brody King, and then secondly is I love Sting. He's one of my favorite, and I believe he still has a place in wrestling to do what he's doing. But they are beating everyone, literally everybody. And every feud that they've been in since they've been a team, they beat Team Taz. They beat the Nightmare Factory, not Nightmare Factory, but whatever.
The Factory.
Yeah, the Factory. They beat them. They beat the Pinnacle. They beat House of Black. Like how, and then on top of that, you're trying to establish House of Black as this like force to be reckoned with.
Two of them are leaving.
Well, actually, Malachi confirmed that he's just taking a break. He hasn't.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Leaving, like not going to be there.
Yeah.
Like consistently on TV.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be establishing them as your top heel faction, but you've got Darby and Sting beating them at every turn. That shit doesn't make sense to me at all.
Well, something I think that I always said was like, if we're gonna have two matches and I beat you in both of them, why does anyone want to see the third one?
It's true. It's very true. And I feel like right now AEW is rinse and repeat of WCW, where they're picking up all these big names and they don't have anything to do with them. Like, I mean, obviously you got the guys like Swerve and Keith Lee that are, that I feel like they're going to split up here very soon and start their own feud. But you had Miro. Miro ran hot with that TNT title and then nothing.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
nothing.
The stuff he's been doing with the Redeemer, all that stuff is awesome. Like, wow, dude, this is a star. This guy is a fucking superstar.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like we're kind of letting it slip through our fingers.
Yeah.
On like giving this guy the push that he should be getting. Dude, it's funny because I don't think I've had too much AEW talk on the show because nobody I ever have on is a big fan of it like me. But dude, what about was that the Grand Slam?
Mm-hmm.
When they bumped Julia Hart off the ring, did you see that?
I did. As soon as she hit the ground, like I was streaming it on TikTok on live, and as soon as she hit the ground, I was like, "Oh, dude, she completely missed that fucking table. That looked bad. I hope she's okay." Like,
too,
but that was a bad landing.
But like her ass broke the table or something.
Yeah, her ass broke the table. The rest of it broke the ground. That was rough. That was rough. And then when Darby took that bump and got his
hard weight on the back. Yeah, it seemed like that was too much for the first match on a show.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's dudes that are taking bumps left and right, and it's just like, and we're not talking about good bumps. Not talking about good bumps.
Dude, AEW botches. Do you follow that on Twitter?
No, I don't.
Follow, and I think also on Instagram. Follow AEW botches. It's like so many people get hurt. Like, that's a big problem. They've got to get some like real enforcers to like really agent these matches. Because I know they have producers or coaches, but they've got to like have more rules or something. They got to like rehearse more or something. I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. My mic dropped down. I actually hit the mute button. Anyways, from my understanding, AEW doesn't have like a performance center, and they don't have like an actual facility where people train. And one of my biggest issues is when I see people botch, and I see people botch habitually, there's something off with their training. I've never been formally trained in a ring.
Habitually,
yes. I've never been trained in the ring, but I have an eye for things that don't look right. And you can call it my military training, you can call it whatever, but I have an eye for things that don't look right. And I've seen it look right a handful of times, and I see it look wrong. I'm gonna be able to pick it out. And one of the things that really got to me was what I love Shotzi Blackheart, and I think what she's doing and what she has done is great. But then since she's got to WWE, even NXT, she's a botch machine. And I have more than one time said I feel she should go back to the PC and hone her craft, and I've gotten shit on because of it. Oh, she doesn't need to go back.
Shotzi Botzi.
Botchy Blackheart. just like I've called Sasha Banks Botcha Banks, because like those are two women that I feel botch a lot. They try a lot and they botch it. And I've said I feel like Shotzi should go back to the PC, hone her craft, dumb it down a little bit, and then come back and perform at a better rate. Now I've gotten shit on. Why do you're sexist? You just don't like women. No, I'm just calling it as I see it. It's not like she's hurt anybody, but when you botch something, you have the potential to hurt somebody.
Well, I think that too many people are trying things above what they're able to do, and not practicing them enough times.
Yeah.
Like perhaps more practice needs to be done. On these spots, we need to like spend the whole day figuring out that spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare that you see people like Seth Rollins or guys like Kevin Owens or Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa, any of those guys botch a move. It's very rare, and when they do, it's a bad botch. It hurts somebody, and they feel terrible about it. But they go back and they practice until they don't do it. They don't do that shit anymore.
I think it was it Raw this week? It was like they did a tag match. It was like Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens against
Alpha Academy.
Was that who it was?
Yeah.
And then Johnny Gargano tried to do like while he was tagged out. He was on the outside of the ropes. He was on the apron, and he tried to do that step up enziguri onto the inside on Chad Gable, and he missed him completely. I was like, oh. I'm already so tired of enziguris. Like, I could never see another one again and be fully fine. Like,
right.
We're going, okay, concussions are a thing, but let's kick somebody in the head all the time. Like, I don't like that.
I feel like there's certain moves that should be protected that are way overdone now. I've been very vocal on it.
What moves do you think are overdone?
The spear. The destroyer.
Canadian destroyer is
way overdone. Super kicks, way overdone. And there's one more. The stunner's not there because not everybody does it, but the cutter is another one.
Is way overdone, yeah.
Four moves that should be protected, that should be match enders right there. The super kick should be a match ender. You're kicking homie right in the jaw, and naturally everything we know physiologically about you get kicked in the jaw or hit in the jaw, you're going to sleep, homie. You know, a cutter is a match ender. We've seen it with DDP and Randy Orton, but everybody seems to do it now.
Yeah.
You've got the spear, which spear is supposed to be a match ender right there, but you got everybody and their mother doing it. And then the destroyer. The destroyer was supposed to be that one move that only Petey Williams can do. And then everybody's adopted it. Everybody's adopted it through their spin on it, and it's okay now. And everybody kicks out of it.
Did you see when Edge just did one?
Yeah. I was like, God damn it.
Was it at the Clash at the Castle or something?
Yeah. He did it. Dustin Rhodes. I love Dustin, but he has no business doing a destroyer.
No.
I mean, fucking everybody's doing it now, and it's like, okay, this move went from being great to like, it's a transition move now.
Well, like especially because like the way that like you never see it out of nowhere. You always see it like, oh, we've got to do this and this and this and set it up. It's all so perfectly set up, and it looks so like synchronized swimming.
Yeah.
And you know, that's probably has something to do with, and I'm not gonna shit on Adam Cole or anything, but like he has to like get you bent over right into the corner so they can jump.
Yeah.
It's too fake.
Yeah.
Like, it's not believable, like at all. Like it's,
and that's what I loved about Petey Williams is like Petey could take that move and really transition into it from anything. Right. So he's getting power bombed. He reverses a power bomb into it. Boom. It's done. Mm-hmm. You know, he wrestled Chris Sabin, and Chris Sabin went to do his finishing move. I can't remember what it was called, but he went to transition into it. When he came down, boom, right into the destroyer. It's believable.
He had that like crossbreaker thing, right?
Yeah. He did something like it was almost like an enziguri where he had you. It was like a fireman's enziguri where he boom hooked your legs. It was like the fit. Like it was weird. It was a weird. I can't even remember the name of it.
A fireman's. Where like he landed like a Michinoku driver kind of thing.
Oh yeah, like a Michinoku driver. Yeah, it was like a Michinoku driver, but the legs were crossed. So.
Oh right.
Yeah, you had more leverage on it, but I don't even know why I called it enziguri, but I think we were talking about enziguri
because I just brought up enziguris.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck am I thinking? Anyways,
it's like a in the head.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the head a bunch.
Yeah, and there's this recent beef on TikTok, not really beef, but question going around who has the best spear. And everybody's like, Edge has the best spear. And that's because they love Edge. And I'm like, he definitely doesn't. And I'm going to tell you why. And I said, there's 3 people right now that hold the best spear, and I don't think anybody else has it. One is Goldberg, and I hate Goldberg. Absolutely despise Goldberg. But his spear is amazing. Roman Reigns' spear now is great. He used to have a shit spear, but it's great now. And then the Gore by Rhino. All 3 of them. And I said what all 3 of them have in common is the follow through, right? So the setup for the move, you're in the corner, whatever. Dude turns around, you go, you hit him, you follow through, you don't drop down. That's what is the problem with edges, or the problem with all the other spears that I see is that when you hit the dude, you grab him, you fall down. And I'm like, that doesn't look effective. But if you hit the dude and you drive through, that looks super effective. And everyone's like, oh, you're just biased. No, I'm not biased. And I've told you, I'm not a fan of Goldberg. I love Rhino, but you know, his spear looked effective. And Roman, I like Roman. I like his character work, but I don't think he's the best in the ring. But their spears look effective, and that's what matters.
My opinions on spears is that it's a good spot to just get a good babyface pop. Like it just pops a crowd. It easily pops a crowd, especially for when I would do them. I don't think I've done them in a really long time because I'm never a babyface anymore. But like as soon as you like push the hair, as soon as you touch the hair and you go to do a spear, the crowd goes, ah! It's a huge pop. The crowd always pops big for it.
Yeah. I think the best part about the spear with Roman is that when you see him lining up in the corner and he does that thing, I can't even do it. Whenever he does that, even as a heel, people are like, "Oh shit, the match is over. It's fucking over."
I was saying years ago that like Roman, it was like you watch a Roman Reigns match, you're gonna see him run at you, do a Superman punch, gonna run at you, do a spear, and like that's like gonna be the through line of most of the match. It's changed now, but
you know what's changed about it is he put a headlock in there, threw a headlock in there.
You know what, dude, that move looks terrible. That front thing that he does, that what is
chin lock,
the choke, like it looks dumb when he does it, and
the guillotine.
Yeah. Oh God. You know what? It's because it's like I'm gonna have to say this about every hold. When I was taught holds, one of my trainers, John Dahmer, he'd always be like, "Stay moving, stay making it look like you're wrenching it in.
Yeah.
Don't just like put it and hold it there."
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't look like it hurts.
No,
it doesn't look like it's affecting anybody in any way.
No. So, anybody with any combat sports experience looks at that move and they're like, they eat it alive. I mean, because like, you know, the guillotine, you're supposed to have the head under and the chin's supposed to sit right here in the nook of
and doing a guillotine takes your energy away from you.
Yeah.
That's something that I think that like us as wrestlers haven't sold that enough. That like this shit, like holding all this might here, it's fucking tiring.
Yeah.
Like holding in a shoot guillotine gets you fucking tired. And you're like, oh God, I really hope this taps the guy because I'm putting everything into this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the same as like rear naked chokes too. I've only seen 2 people that do rear naked chokes appropriately and they look real. And that's Shayna Baszler. Obviously she has background in mixed martial arts, and then Samoa Joe. And that's because that is their match ender. Joe has the muscle buster, but he broke somebody's neck with it. So
not a muscle.
He broke a neck.
A bone. Did you watch the Hook in Action Bronson?
I was surprised that was the longest match I've ever seen Hook in.
It was good. It was good. I have no complaints about that.
I thought Action Bronson.
He surprised the shit out of me. Yeah, it was like watching a young Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah,
like he can move, man. He can move, and he's believable.
There's 2 others like mega stars that I was really impressed with when I watched him: Bad Bunny and Logan Paul.
You weren't going to say Shaq?
Only thing, okay, Shaq did a power bomb. Okay, Shaq did a power bomb.
Shaq Fu moves. Remember the Shaq Fu game for Sega?
Yeah. Shaq did some power bombs. He did a clothesline, and they took a table spot. I mean, that's about it.
Yeah, there's nothing memorable about the Shaq match.
No, but Logan Paul's match at SummerSlam with The Miz was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude, I just bought some of the some of his energy drink stuff.
Yeah,
because of his matches with The Miz. Because he sold me. Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And I also listened to his podcast that he did with Triple H.
Was it good?
Yeah, he did. Wait, did Triple H do his podcast?
He did. So he did one with Triple H. He did one with Roman, and I think Brock. Yeah.
Okay. The one I watched with Triple H was the Ariel Helwani interview.
Okay.
I don't think I watched Triple H with Logan Paul, but I definitely watched the Roman with Logan Paul documentary or podcast.
Yeah. No, so I thought his match at SummerSlam was pretty awesome, and I was really surprised with Bad Bunny when he WrestleMania 2 years ago, where him and Damian Priest teamed up, because they put Bad Bunny in the ring for like most of the match,
right?
And they let him run with it, and the dude actually, I was like, holy shit! Like at first I wasn't like excited to watch it. There's another like superstar coming in, or another mega star, well-known name that hasn't been in the ring, but you watch him in the ring, and it's like this dude dedicated some time to train.
Dude, that was such a cool moment, man. I love getting to see my friend on WrestleMania. You know, like watching fucking Punisher Martinez. Fucking.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I have friends over, and I was like, look, fucking our boy Lou is on WrestleMania. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And, it was neat as shit.
He's another dude that I think is gonna be a future world champ.
Yeah,
he's got everything.
I love it. Yeah, he inspires me, man. Him and I are the same age, so when I go like, oh, I'm too old for it, I'm too old. I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Well, dude, and then even you look at it, like his transformation from when he was in Ring of Honor to now, the dude is shredded, absolutely shredded. And it makes me like super proud of the progress that he's made. You know, It's pretty awesome. And then like, you know, seeing him when he came out, one of the takeovers, and he had the Scott Hall inspired gear on. I was like, yeah.
And he does the little like walk in the beginning.
Yep.
It's cool how he's doing that. It's even cooler now that it's tribute to somebody who's passed.
Yeah, definitely. What do you feel about this Ray and Dom storyline?
I think Ray is being too weak. I think Ray Mysterio, like if you were trying to think about if it was real, like why would he not beat the shit out of his kid?
Oh yeah.
Like why would he not? I mean, it seems like they're trying to redo the Undertaker going like, I'll never fight my brother. That whole it feels like they're trying to recreate that, like, oh, I'm never gonna hurt my kid, but like he should, like it would be funny if they like made it seem realer, if they like show him like texting, it's like if he curses him out and they just like bleep out him cursing him out, that's like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah. Or like seeing him, you know, texting Dom, and then Dom looks at it and he just throws his phone aside. Like some shit, like he just doesn't want anything to do with him. But I love Ray, but I feel like Dom was brought into wrestling too soon. He's so green.
He's not good, but he will be good. He will eventually be good. And I like him better as a heel. I kind of like what they're doing with the Judgment Day and the whole like Rhea Ripley having her hooks in them and stuff.
Yep, like a seductress. Yeah,
I dig that.
Yeah,
this is actually the first time I see Rhea Ripley, and I'm like, yeah. Like I don't think I ever like found her attractive or anything, but now I see her, and I'm like, okay.
She could ruin my life.
Yeah, she's got the potential to ruin lives, I'm sure.
Did you see? Oh my God! Did you see what Buddy Matthews put up on Twitter? So it was Dom, and then it had Aaliyah, you know, Dom's sister, and then Rhea, and they were fighting, and there was a picture of the two of them, and Buddy Matthews put up a put me up for adoption on a pole match. Because he had that storyline with Aaliyah, and then he's dating Rhea. Oh my God, I love it. But yeah, Dom's too cringy for me.
Yeah, it's strange to like. Okay, so I had this thought a lot where it's like, compare the Attitude Era to now, in the fact that like, you wouldn't step to any of those like adult men in the Attitude Era, not once.
No.
Would you even think that you could, for a minute, take them in a fight, like at all?
Hell no.
But now you watch the TV and you're like, oh, it's become quote unquote too inclusive. I don't want to say that in like a hateful way, but it's like your average viewer of a combat sport wants to see somebody who could beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of the people who would watch any of these matches would be like, yeah, these people aren't good. Like they're not somebody who I'd be afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, even like the lower end dudes from the Attitude Era, like the Headbangers or like Taka Michinoku. I knew I could if like now I knew if I stepped in the ring with them, I'd get my ass beat, regardless of who they were. But like if you look now, you look at guys like The Miz. I might be able to take them. I might be able to take certain dudes. I know that there's guys I wouldn't fuck with, but like I know that if I stepped in the ring with like Dom, I'd probably be able to take him. And it's not. That's where the unbelievable part comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's like some people have like very. It's like it's just a lack of character. It's a lack of like believability, and it's like kind of like if there was like a way to get direction.
Yeah.
Besides just fucking shaking it into you.
Yeah.
Like it was like certain things need more direction than they've got, and certain things are overly directed. So it's like we gotta distribute more evenly the overly produced shit.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with Walter though. Gunther.
Oh yeah.
They need to just scratch the Gunther thing and let him go back to Walter.
They're not going to.
No, they're not. They're not. I wish they would. But like when I first seen Walter, I was like, man, this dude's an animal. And then when he had that match with Pete Dunne, whoo, fuck.
Dude, the Dragunov matches.
Good.
I mean, I would show them to non-fans for sure. Like there are moments where I go like, okay, this is a match I'd show a non-fan. Mm-hmm. And I wish I could say that about every match. But like I've shown non-fans matches and they're like, why are they just standing there letting them hit them? Why are they hit them and then they stand there and go, okay, now you hit me. Why would they do that? And I go, I can't explain it. Why would they do that? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I know a lot of people that when I talk about being a pro wrestling fan, they're a non-fan. The next question, and they say, okay, show me a match. And then I start to pull up a match. The next question is, what's the most fucked up thing you've ever seen? I'm like, okay, so we're gravitating toward blood now or messed up stuff. And then I show them Mick Foley, anything Mick Foley. And that actually created my wife to be a fan. And we got to meet Mick Foley and shortly after she became a fan. And it was awesome. Mick Foley's an amazing human being.
He's a dream guest on my podcast. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Nice.
Mick Foley on my podcast. I've the last couple times I've been on stage, and also like my last match, I wore like a flannel vest as a tribute to Mick Foley, and I wore it on stage, and I wore like a Cactus Jack shirt. That one of the picture that's on my Twitter profile picture is me in the Cactus Jack shirt on stage.
That's awesome. That's awesome. He's a really nice dude. And but when I went to go meet him, I was like, hey, you created a wrestling fan of my wife. He's like, what do you mean? And I told him, I said, she wanted, when her and I, because when you start a relationship with somebody that's not a wrestling fan, it's kind of taboo. Wrestling's taboo. At least I feel that way. So I told my wife, I said, hey, look, I'm a wrestling fan. If you don't agree with that, sorry, I'm not going to stop watching wrestling. I just want you to know. And she said, well, I'm not opposed to it. I've never just been exposed to it. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, this is what this is about. And then she's like, well, show me the most fucked up thing you've ever seen. I was like, okay, here we go. So I showed her Hell in a Cell. I showed her and Triple H him and Triple H in Hell in a Cell. Him and Triple H at Royal Rumble when they had that hardcore match. Him and Vader. And just
what about him and Michaels? That War Games, or not War Games, Mind Games, I think it was called.
I didn't show her that one.
It's like in your house in Philly. That was a good one.
I showed her him versus Rock in the I Quit match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Where
that's cringy as hell.
Mhm.
That was. Did you see Beyond the Mat?
Yeah, I watched it when I was a kid. I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah, dude. I was just talking about that with my brother like minutes ago, and it was like he was like, "Yeah, that was the first documentary that ever existed. They didn't have a name for them before that. Documentaries didn't exist before Beyond the Mat."
Yeah, and then I watched it with my wife when we first started getting into it. When she first started getting into it, and she fell in love with them, and so a really iconic moment. Like when I was explaining that to him, he was like, "Okay," and then my wife was like 5 feet behind me, and he was like, "Miss Lady or young lady, come up here," and he started showing her all of his injuries, dude, like the missing teeth, the ears. And he was telling the stories, and I was like, dude, this is like crazy because you only hear about these on TV. You don't hear them firsthand. And he was just this really nice, super down-to-earth guy. And I was like, you know what, man? You're probably the nicest person I've ever met.
Start listening to his podcast.
I didn't even know he had a podcast.
He has a podcast called Foley is Pod. It's
Really?
It's a Conrad Thompson production. I think.
Okay.
Same with Kevin Nash's podcast. Have you? I've been listening to that a bunch.
I picked up on it a little bit.
I picked up a bit on Dutch Mantel's podcast as well recently.
There's 2 podcasts I will never listen to, like wrestling podcasts. Well, 3 really. And you're not gonna like one of them that I say, but I won't listen.
I already know what you're gonna say.
I'm not gonna listen to Cornette's.
Okay.
You already knew that one. I'm not gonna listen to Eric Bischoff's. And fuck, who is the other?
Jeff Jarrett.
I didn't even know he had one.
Oh yeah,
I know
his show's all right.
I know him and Conrad went back and forth, and like I don't know if it was a work or if it was real.
You know, if I was a bigger name, Conrad would want to produce my podcast.
He's just doing everybody's.
Yeah. If I was a bigger name, if I was somebody in the 80s or 90s or something.
Yeah. I know. So did you see Jarrett's podcast with Conrad right after he attacked Ric Flair?
No.
Oh my God.
No, man. I only caught like the first few episodes, and I don't think it I was never a big enough fan of Jeff Jarrett's for that to like hook me.
Yeah. I only caught it because I wanted to see what the angle was for the last match. I didn't watch Ric Flair's last match because I don't think Ric Flair's a GOAT. I'm not a fan of Ric Flair.
I've never been a fan of Ric Flair either, and that's not something I like to admit ever. But I always thought he like made it look phony. Like as a fan, when I was a kid, he would like put somebody in a headlock and he'd go,
yeah.
And I always thought that was for the people just listening. I did this like phony little punch to a headlock.
Yeah.
But it always made me feel like this isn't good. This isn't like Macho Man Ricky Steamboat. Like,
yeah. I get a lot of heat when I say I don't think Ric Flair's the best of all time. Maybe prior to WCW he was.
Maybe.
But WCW he was not that great. He was a shell of who he was.
Yes, it was bizarre because I want to be a fan. I deep down in my heart I've like read his book. I am a huge fan of what he's done. I'm a huge fan of him having the belief in himself that he was the greatest. I am a fan of that confidence. Ric Flair has been epic, an epic part of the wrestling business. He's meant a lot to a lot of people and has created a ton of big moments for a lot of people, but I'm not going to watch his last match where he's, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't watch it because I would be afraid that he'd die in the middle of the ring. But I think that's like kind of what he wants.
Well, I mean that's kind of almost what happened. You know, I think Jay Lethal did lethal injection on him, and he couldn't get up after that. Like legitimately could not get up.
It was literally lethal.
Pretty lethal. But yeah, no, so I wanted to watch the podcast or at least find out the backstory. And the first words out of Conrad Thompson's mouth were, "Fuck you, you attacked a 70-something-year-old man and made him bleed." And Jarrett was like, pretty much, I don't know if it was real, if like Jarrett has real heat with Flair, but he was like, fuck him. He's, you know, he's nothing. He's a nobody. He hasn't been a nobody forever. He's just a drunk piece of shit, and like went in on Flair, and I was like, oh my god, dude. But the angle behind it was really good. Lethal attacked Flair because Lethal wasn't invited to the last match like everybody else was, and so you know, Jarrett came to help Flair out. Flair spit on him, told him he didn't want his fucking help, and Jarrett just started beating the piss out of him and bloodied him up. And I was like, okay.
There's not enough there to make me want to care.
No. If you would have put Steamboat in that, and if you would have said Steamboat and Flair, I'd have been all right with it. Two old dudes going at it.
That would have been more marketable. That would have been more, would have probably sold more streams.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
would have got asses in seats.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like on top of that, like your career-ending match, you want it to be against your greatest foe of all time, right? You could argue Sting was one of his because him and Sting went back and forth. Steamboat, you know, Undertaker, what have you. Most of those names aren't going to show up for your last match.
Hey, you know what match happened in Philly that I got to be there for?
What's that?
It was Hulk Hogan's very last match against Sting in TNA.
Oh, really?
Where he was like, he wrestled in jeans.
Oh, yeah, where he was just bloodied up?
He was geeked all over the place. Yeah, he was fucking gushing all over the place. But I was there for that.
Where him and Sting both bled?
Probably. I don't recall too much of it, but I just knew that it was Hulk Hogan's last match.
Okay, so what is your favorite pay-per-view of all time? If you had to choose one, and you said, this is my defining pay-per-view. I know mine.
Why don't you tell me yours first?
Okay, it's going to sound really, really strange, but Starrcade 97. Starrcade 97 because that's when I got back into watching. When I was a kid, I leg dropped my sister, okay? And I got wrestling taken away from me. My sister was like 2 years younger than me. I leg dropped her, got it taken away for a while. Starrcade 97 was the pay-per-view I came back to, and I was able to watch it and enjoy it. And my favorite match of all time is out of there, and it's Dean Malenko and Jericho. Or no, sorry, Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. And just phenomenal match. But I loved it because that's where my passion and love for Sting came, was watching the Crow Sting come back after a year and a half of not wrestling, even though it was a shit match.
Yeah, Sting doesn't like to have those nowadays. It seems like he ticks all the boxes in the correct row now. I don't see it's funny to see that and to say that. The fact that like Sting is the exact same age as my mom it cracks me up, because I'm like, I couldn't see my mom doing dives off of stages.
No, dude's doing suicide dives off the top of a Titantron, bro. Like, come on.
It's like, man, he's really dusted it off.
Right?
He's really dusted off like the rust.
He volunteered to take Jeff Hardy's spot when Jeff did the Swanton bomb off like the small little ledge in the little foyer area of that arena. Mm-hmm. Oh, Sting was like, yeah, I volunteered to do that. Bro, you are gonna break a hip and probably have a heart attack. Calm down.
Right. It's like well, it's like, bro, you can't do big dives like that and probably take Metamucil. Like, no. It's like you get the senior citizens discount.
Yeah, you go to Golden Corral, you get the senior citizens discount, dude. Calm down.
Yeah, just move to Florida like all the other senior citizens and ride it out till ride it out, ride out, dude. Famously, for a really long time, like the amount of money Sting made was a verb. They would say Sting money.
Yeah.
So like, there's no way he is doing it for the money.
No.
It is like he is all about watching what his legacy becomes at 64 years old.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to dive off things, I mean, cool, go for it. But at the end of the day, man, you could go and literally do like autograph signings and appearances for AEW and be okay, or be a commentator for fuck's sake.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we need to get Taz away from the commentary table, okay?
No, Taz is awesome, dude.
I love Taz, but
Taz is like my favorite part. I think Taz is a way better commentator than like everybody else that's out there.
I like Excalibur.
I go back and forth with it, but I for sure like Taz more than Excalibur.
I like Taz better than Corey Graves. I'll tell you that one.
All right. Why is that?
Corey Graves simps over Carmella all the time. I know they're married, right? I know that they're married, but he simps over her all the time when she comes out. And like he's filling the role of the heel announcer great. That's perfect, but it's too much. It's way too much sometimes. And I'm like, fuck, man, just please stop. Shut up. Somebody put a sock in his mouth. And that's how I felt like how I felt Michael Cole was for a long time.
I think that Corey Graves is good. I think I like him as a heel commentator a lot. I kind of think he stole Corey from me, honestly. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I kind of think he did. Like, I mean,
he's seen Corey Castle, and he's like, I want his name.
Yeah, he was like, who's had the coolest names in the business who I've run across? Corey Castle, probably.
You ever wrestled him?
I've only done angles with him. I've never had a match with him.
Oh, okay.
But we did. I used to work for his dad. His dad promoted shows in Pittsburgh. So his dad and his brother ran shows, and I only worked for them like 2 or 3 times. But I remember, and this is like a weird impression, and the technical aspects of remaining vertical in a vertical suplex.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, you'd want the person who you're giving a vertical suplex to hold their legs up straight as you can, and it's fully fine and pretty acceptable to switch your post.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam was trying to get his friend up. Ashton was the kid's name. He was trying to get him up vertical for him to do like a Michinoku or some driver or something, and they were going for it, and the guy could never stay up. And me in the ring with them before the show even started, trying to help them, I was like, try it once where you switch your post. And SJK, whatever the fuck his name, Sterling James Keenan, he was like, no, don't switch the post, and like was kind of a dick. And I was like, I'm helping, of course. Like, if you switch the post, you're gonna be able to hold that guy's big ass vertical for another second. Like, if you're just like let him hold you, no post. It's like, how good is it gonna look?
Yeah. Now, are you a submission man? Do you like submission moves?
I don't do a lot of them, but I like them.
What's your favorite submission move of all time?
I'd say the Lion Tamer, probably.
It's simple. It's simple and effective.
Yeah.
Mine's the clover leaf. I fucking love the clover leaf. I love it. I like when Dean Malenko did it, and then when Seamus started using it, I was like, yes, the fucking clover leaf. It's weird because not many people like that.
I always think about Malenko doing it to Lita, like when he was becoming like the stalker on Lita.
Yeah. I actually just watched that pay-per-view where it was a 6-man tag with Lita in it, and he put her in the at the end, and she's just passed out, and he's not letting it go. He's like, "Come on, tap." And I was like, "Man, that's great. That's great."
So, in all the podcasts that you've done now, what has it been, like 6 months now?
Nah, it's only been like 3 or 4. Yeah, 3 or 4.
In the 3 or 4 months that you've done podcasts, what question have you not been asked that you wanted to be asked?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Why Alaska? A lot of people I've been asked this, when I go on live on TikTok. Nobody's ever asked me why I stay in Alaska.
I was considering asking that at one point.
Yeah.
For real. That was a question I was wanting to ask you.
Yeah, any question is
why
open.
Alaska?
Well, so I was stationed up here.
Not just why, but the how also.
Okay.
So you kind of explain that with the station part.
But, okay, so I was in the Army. I'm a vet. I was in the Army from 2006 to 2019. I got medically retired for traumatic burn injury. You know what that is. Just shit ton of concussions, and your life becomes unmanageable. And my life became unmanageable, and the Army said essentially, we don't need you anymore because you're a liability. And so I got stationed. My first duty station was in Italy. Got stationed there. Then got stationed over at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. And then when I got promoted to Staff Sergeant E6, I got my list of places opened up, and they said you can go virtually anywhere you want. And I handed my ex-wife the list, and she said Alaska. Alaska sounds great. So I came up here, and that's when the Army said we don't need you anymore. In that time, I was going through a divorce, and I really loved it when I got up here because it was peaceful, it was serene. It reminded me of home because I grew up. So I said earlier I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, but I was born and raised in West Virginia, Maryland, in the mountains. And so when I came here, it reminded me of home, and the cold.
Did you grow up in like a Amish house or Mennonite house?
Mennonite, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys build the house yourselves?
No. So ours Mennonite was our sect of Mennonite weren't like strict. Like we had TV, we had a car, we were able to go eat food. We didn't make our own clothes, we didn't make our own house, but my grandpa did everything else. You name it. My grandpa was a carpenter, he was an electrician. He was a plumber. He was a jack of all trades. And he worked for the University of Maryland for 25 years. My grandma was a nurse, but then she ended up being a stay-at-home grandma. And that's who I grew up with. But yeah, I actually grew up in the backwoods of Maryland. Have you seen Blair Witch Project?
Yeah. Okay.
I grew up 15 minutes from Burkittsville.
But I have to say, I saw that movie in the movie theater. So like when that first came, who knows how long ago, which means I probably don't remember it at all. I've also had a lot of concussions.
Yep. And, So I ended up, so I grew up there, which has given me developed a very unhealthy fear of the woods at night. But that's neither here nor there. But when I got up here, I started doing a lot of nature stuff. I started going on hikes. I started walking mountains. Started, going to lakes and rivers and just being one with the nature. And I felt like this was home, at least temporarily, And I've never really like had like a place that I call home. I kind of, for me in the Army, I was in this mindset of wherever I lay my head is home. And so to me, this place felt like home. And so I was going through a divorce. I met my now wife, and her and I, hit it off great. It felt like I knew her for my whole life, and her family lives up here. And I don't want to take my wife from her family, at least while they're still up here. So I decided, hey, I'm going to stay up here as long as her family is in good or decent health. And if they have to move, then we will move, but we're not going to move around them, because down in the lower 48, you can drive a few hours away and be in 2 or 3 different states.
So with your first marriage, did you guys have kids together?
So I'm on my 3rd marriage now. 3rd time's the charm.
Okay.
But so my first marriage, yes. My first marriage, my biological daughter lives with her mom and her stepdad. Her stepdad is an Army officer. And so they travel quite a bit. They were in Georgia, went to Washington, back to Georgia, across to Missouri, and now they're at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Or not, it's technically Kentucky, Tennessee, but right on that border. So, yeah. But my second marriage, no.
So
Thank God.
You're set now. No more
I'm
wives.
set.
No more wives.
Dude, okay, so like
this is the one. This is it. No more wives.
I've joked around, but I'm pretty serious about it. If this doesn't work out, I'm gonna dig myself in the side of a mountain like Thanos and live my days out alone. And at the end of Infinity War, where he's walking through the field and he's running his hand, that's exactly how I'm gonna be. Just gonna be a cave dweller. I'm gonna be much like a dwarf from like Lord of the Rings.
So in the house you live in now, you have kids, right? How many kids do you have?
I have 2 stepkids.
Okay.
They're more like mine. They're more like my biological. Like I've raised them for the past 3-4 years. Their dad really. I mean, that's a conversation for another time. I don't like to talk ill about parents, but yeah, I'm the more mainstay parent in their life for a male role model. So yeah, I take care of them day in, day out.
Well, you've had a good role model on somebody to take care of people. Like that was what your grandpa was for you. You said he was a little bit of everything.
Yep.
And they took the parental role for you as well. Right?
Yep. So back when I was young, I was taken away from my parents because there was some abuse in the household, and we were placed in foster care. And then I moved in with my grandparents once they did the whole foster care thing. And so I moved in with them, and my grandpa really taught me what it was like to be a man, right? And the basic rules of being a man, being a gentleman. Him and I built a deck together for our pool that up until they moved out stood. And so we're talking 20 plus years of this deck being there. And that was something I was really proud of. And he taught me a lot of life lessons. But then when I turned 10, my dad got custody of us. And so I moved up there, and that just started the cycle of abuse again. And I joined the Army because I wanted to be a better role model for my family, or for my brother and my sister. But I also moved it to escape from where I was living, right? Because I didn't see a way out. The way out that I seen was either turn to drugs in my city, or go homeless. And if I would have turned to drugs, it would have been the same damn thing. I would have been homeless.
Right.
So is the Army.
The outcome would have remained the same.
Yeah, definitely. So I joined the Army, and what I was trying to escape, addiction, ended up turning its ugly head toward me, and I lived in addiction for I got sober in 2019. So yeah, 12 and a half years of active addiction, give or take a few years of sobriety here and there, but it wasn't really anything that I wasn't working a program or anything. I hated everybody and everything. And I found reasons to hate you. So like Corey, I'd be like, fuck you. I don't like you because you have long hair and I don't, and I could not know you. Like I could not know you. I would hate people because they drove a nicer car than I did, and I couldn't afford it because I was out drinking.
Bitter instead of better.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then when I got into recovery, I started learning to love people and like learning that like I don't have to be angry all the time. And you were talking earlier about being addicted to other certain things that aren't substances. I was addicted to being angry, and like on top of alcohol,
it becomes like you're normal. Like it becomes like what your skill set is equipped to handle this chaos. This structure is unstructured.
Oh yeah. And doing a lot of my different therapies and counselings and stuff. One of my counselors is like, we got to figure out why you're angry. And I'm like, I'm not always angry. And she's like, your response is angry. and I was like, and she's like, okay, well, how do you feel when you're sad? Angry. How do you feel when you're upset? Angry. How do you feel when you're scared? Angry. And she was like, see, you're angry. And so like I often revert it to like the scene in Avengers where at the end where Hulk is Bruce Banner and he's walking and they're like, hey, you're not Hulk and you got to fight these guys. You're going to die. And he said, the funny thing is I'm always angry. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was just always angry. And I felt like I could not be happy, but I was not allowing myself to be happy. And I wasn't searching out the shit that made me happy. And so I just loved the anger. I loved it. I loved being angry all the time. It gave me a reason to kind of breathe.
Yeah. Do you ever think about like how much of a waste of time that anger was?
At times, but...
And does it make you mad? Does it make you so mad?
No. So
all that wasted time.
No, I don't regret it. And a lot of people look at that statement and they're like, what? Oh, that's odd. And it's because I've learned so many lessons because of it. I've learned so many lessons because of why I was angry. I've learned so many lessons as, why I drank. And I've learned if I had to go back and do it again, I would, because I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't be where I'm at had I changed one thing.
I constantly say very similar thing where I talk about like everything I've been through and every decision I've ever made has made me who I am right now. And this is my favorite me I've ever been. Mm-hmm. So I can't take back any of that stuff. Yeah. And still expect the result to be this guy that I like to look at in the mirror.
Yeah. I've had people say, oh, I miss the old Sean. And I'm like, oh, do you? You miss the angry Sean? You miss the Sean that you hated?
I say, write him a letter. Write the old Sean a letter telling him you miss him and send it to the North Pole.
Yeah. Burn it, bury it, something.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this or not, but like when stuff's addressed to the North Pole, the post office just like throws it away.
Little do you, I don't know if you know this or not,
but I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
No. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a North Pole, Alaska.
I know. Well, I did not know, but I figured that North Pole and Alaska are similar climates.
Yep. Oh, it's weird. It's directly, if I'm not wrong, it's almost directly south of the Arctic Circle. And they have a Santa Claus shop there. Mm-hmm. They have an active Santa that's there all the time. It's crazy.
Rad.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I say to you how, well, a big part of this stuff is that this is on record now. Like mm-hmm. this is a timestamp for where we were on this September 30th, 2022. This is a timestamp right here. These moments on the record where this shit is outliving us. And we have it on record now for me to play to you for me to play back to you the recording of me telling you how important your time has been for me, and how grateful I am that you've spent the currency of your effort and your attention on me and with me. It's really important, and I'm really excited about what the next steps are. I'm excited about our friendship, and I just wanted to make sure I stated that before we wrap anything up. I want to make sure I give you the chance at this point to ask me anything that you want to ask me, or say anything you want to say to me that's on the record that would be something that like might be important to hear back later.
I think for you, something I want to say to you. Sorry, there was my wife had a small emergency from work. She was right here, but I think to you, man, I think just continue being the most authentic version of yourself that you can be. You know, unapologetically you. Take time for yourself.
And maybe one day I'll get Conrad to produce my podcast.
Yeah, maybe one day you'll get Conrad. No, and
just keep doing what you're doing. One day Conrad's gonna come a knocking.
Hey, you know, here's the thing, man. Is when we're authentically ourselves. Sometimes people see it, sometimes people don't. But at the times when the right people need to see it is when they do. You know.
Well, that's part of me saying like a good portion of I want to say wrestling is being the right person in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, maybe I have not been in the right places at the right times. Or maybe I haven't been the right person in the right places at the right times.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of that is going back to me saying earlier, like, oh, it's like who you're friends with, and like, you know, when opportunities come up, people think of their friends, and maybe I haven't been right there to be in the front of somebody's mind when it comes time to like give out love and wealth and opportunity.
Yeah.
But like, that's part of, I don't know if you saw the drum or if you've ever heard the drum.
Yeah.
That's part, it represents consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Me continuing to beat my drum.
Mm-hmm.
And I also bring the drum with me to the ring.
Hell yeah.
Because I say like, this stuff, what I'm doing here in this ring in front of these people is the most like religious, like sacred, divine practice I've got. Like, this business is my religion over what some book some dude wrote is.
Yeah.
And it stays inside of that consistency.
Yeah.
It stays inside of like, you're gonna see me play this drum. You're gonna see me have the kind of matches that I'd want to watch. Like, that's what I'll make the kind of podcasts that I'll want to hear. I'll tell the kinds of jokes that I'd want to laugh to. I want to wrestle the kind of matches that I'd want to watch. And it stays inside of that. Like, if I wasn't me, I'd wish I was. That's the kind of life I've always wanted to have.
Yeah.
And you know, I got another, like, I don't know, maybe another 20 years of this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. No, and that's the thing, man, is, you know, for you, you know, wrestling is your religion because it's tangible. It's something that you can feel and you can touch. And that's what a lot of people, you know, for me, like, I don't hold on to the Christian values. I'm not Christian. I'm Norse pagan. But for me, I find things that are tangible for me and nature. Like, here's a real weird reason why I chose Norse paganism. A lot of people don't understand it.
I think you told me about this. I think you told me.
Okay. Well,
Go
I
ahead.
Okay, so I have studied almost every damn religion that's out there. And I found this to be the most relatable one to me. But on top of that, I was kind of doubting myself, and I said, "Hey, if this is real, I need fucking something to hold on to, right?" And if you know anything about Norse paganism or have studied it or anything like that, the raven is a sign of Odin. And when I came into the border of Alaska and Canada, I drove here. There was ravens literally sitting inside of the checkpoint, the border patrol inside, and I was like, okay, well, all right. And I held on to it, and very recently I started questioning myself again, like, is this something I believe in? And I'm driving down the road, and I get to this stoplight, and there's a raven on the side of the road with its body facing this way, head tilted toward me, looking at me, and it didn't break contact at all. And I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't need any further proof. I got it. And so what we hold.
You did not tell me that.
Okay, yeah, that was a memory that was triggered when I seen that with the raven.
That's so Raven.
That's so Raven. But we take these things that we hold that we can find tangible, and we hold on to them, and I think it's important, because who says that Odin's real? Who's saying that Jesus Christ is real? I mean, historically, Jesus Christ is real, but God or Buddha or any of these people, who's to say that they're real?
Right. Like the stories in these books, these characters are, we can watch all the Marvel stuff. Like it's higher budget Bible. You know what I mean? Like these fictional tales.
Yeah.
It's just it's for a structure in your life to like to reference, to go like, okay, we want to be this type of person, we want to be that type of person, we want to make sure we're not that type of person, make sure we are this type of person.
Yeah.
So like
absolutely.
I think John Mulaney did the whole bit about the King Solomon, the two ladies brought the baby to King Solomon, and he was like, I get it, well, cut it in half. And then the one lady was like, no, don't cut him in half. And it was like, oh, that's how we know that's the real mother. The other lady was over here like, I'll take the top part. Go ahead, cut him in half.
Cut him in half. Cut some bitch in half. Jeez. No, but the other thing I gotta say, man, is I don't. You're a good dude. You really are. Thanks. I hope you know that you're a really good dude. You're a good human being, and it takes a good human being to listen to my bullshit for 2 hours. Okay.
So you're saying no one's gonna hear it?
So you're saying there's a chance?
So speaking about the time capsules, the time stamps, let's say this is outliving us, but also it's, let's say 20 years into the future, say 2042, your kids come across this recording and want to hear a message directly to them. Like time stamped from 22. What words are you saying to them in the next couple minutes? You're speaking directly to them.
I did the best I could with what I had. Nothing more, nothing less, because I know that as a kid, even a young adult, I always looked at my parents and I criticized them for the way that they raised me, right? But they did the best that they could with what they had. Even my grandparents. And my grandparents before them said the same thing to them. And this generation to generation passed down. we do the best that we can with what we have. And, I feel like I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. I don't always hit the mark as a parent. Being a parent, it's like, it's a lesson every day. We learn new things every day about, our children. But I did the best that I could with what I had. Yeah. And I love them. I love the shit out of them. Hope they know that.
Nothing more, nothing less, except for this. This is one more thing.
Just let me add one more damn thing here. Hold on.
Nothing more, nothing less. This, and one more thing.
Yeah.
No, but like when I think about that kind of stuff, and I think about like when I was younger, and I would be like mad about my parents' decisions on certain things. I didn't ever have the time to think about like how ill-equipped they were, and the sacrifices that I don't want to say my dad did because he didn't, but my mom gave up her entire identity to be my mom, and like get mad about not having the newest pair of sneakers, but like think about the kind of stuff when I like let me now go like, oh, all the times that like I've shot for a goal and didn't hit it because I wasn't ready for it, or I wasn't equipped with how to handle that situation. Now imagine that, and a human life is counting on it. Like, I can't put myself in the shoes of my mom and the kind of decisions that she had to make, like raising 3 babies by herself. That's not something I can even wrap my head around.
One thing that I keep reminding myself, and it's not so much anymore. I used to just hound on the fact that my dad beat the shit out of me every day of my childhood when he was around, or he didn't love me, or he loved my brother, more than he loved me. And I had to look at that now being sober and say he was an alcoholic, and it's a learned trait, and it's a disease, but it's a learned trait, and you learn it from the people that came before you, right?
Yeah.
So I really had to look at that and say, my dad was a piece of shit when I was a kid, and he even opened up and said, yeah, dude, like I wasn't the best dad to you. And I appreciate that. But I had to also realize like there were circumstances that were out of his control to a degree, and circumstances that were. And when he was sober, he was an awesome man. But when he was drinking, he was a piece of shit. And that's how I was. Right. So how am I any better?
You're now at this point, you're breaking the chain, breaking the cycle of generational trauma.
Yep.
What you're doing now is good. And give yourself an attaboy.
I always tell people to pat themselves on the back, and I never pat myself on the back.
Well, you should do it more often, man.
I'm trying. So my thing that I realize with that is like my pride has been my downfall a lot. Pride comes before the fall, they say. I would always get to that point in my life where good things would start to happen to me or for me, and I would be like, fuck yeah, look at me, I'm the bad motherfucker, I've got all this, I've been labeled this.
We get too cocky cool, too cocky cool all the time. Look, they couldn't possibly fire me, I'm the best they got. And I've lost every goddamn job I've ever had.
And it's just it's being proud without the pride. It's being proud without that and remaining humble. And so that's where I try to acknowledge what people say. Like I used to be terrible at giving credit or getting compliments, right? So somebody, you're doing a good job. I'm like, no, I'm not. Just stop. But now I take it, I say thank you, and I appreciate you for giving me that. And I sit with it for a second, I let it go. I try to at least.
So
it's all work.
Just a couple more quick things, and I'll send you off into the sunset with a hot dog and a handshake. So the way I normally start wrapping up episodes is I'll say hypothetically I've gifted you this show. This has been your pilot episode, your first episode of your new podcast, Evolving with Sean Young. In a very Jerry Springer's final thought type of way, the most valuable takeaways from this conversation, and then we'll send them off with your best impression, which might be your Danhausen impression, to say the catchphrase of the show, which is "Be fun, have safe, keep evolving."
You want me to do an impression?
And you got to do your little Zorak hands.
All right. What is it? Be fun, have safe.
Yeah.
Keep evolving.
But first, you got to do your Jerry Springer's final thought.
Oh, okay. All right. Jerry Springer's final thought. What left a lasting impression on me? I think I had a lot of expectations, not from you, but of myself. And it's hard to say that. I'm trying to rethink it. When I get on on other people's shows, I think the fear of of talking to other people, right? And I'm like, man, how am I gonna say it? Is this person gonna think I'm a piece of shit or full of shit? And you know, I had to leave that at the door, you know, and that really helped me out a lot. And just you're awesome. You're awesome.
Thanks.
That's my Jerry's final thought.
Well, I felt like I had done a ton of criticism on this, and I felt like maybe I was being too critical of certain things in wrestling that maybe might opinions might cost me some respect in the business.
No, so that's what's so great about opinions is that they're your own. They're your own. You know, they're your own.
Right. And it's also with all of them, with everything. It's consider the source. Consider who it's coming from. Consider why it's that way. Consider who, you know, if somebody trashes you on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or wherever, and they've got no followers, they're nobody, they've never done anything, just go, okay, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, anybody in any of these companies who I would have offended can look, I've only got 500 Twitter followers. I'm nobody.
Well,
I've also spent a huge chunk of my life in the ring and in front of people. So, you know, take that into consideration as well.
Well, I hold what you have to say in regards to wrestling, you know, with the high esteem, as well as I'm friends with Sledge from Ring of Honor, and I hold what you guys have to say because you guys have done it. You guys live in that ring. You guys have put work in to the ring, and you guys know firsthand what's better and what's not so good, you know. And so what you guys have to say, I will never be like, I think you're wrong, because you've done it and I'm not. But that goes in the same token. If I'm doing work and somebody walks into my job and is like, you terrible, you're wrong, prove me wrong.
I would like to offer this to you real quick, saying how, once again, going back to how psyched I am that we're closer friends now.
Yeah.
That really excites me. It's a good shit, and I'm excited for what comes next. But I was getting to a point there. Anytime you ever feel like you've got nobody to talk to, I want to make sure you know that you can always talk to me. I'm always here.
Thank you.
If you just need a friend, any just like sounding board, any advice in any way or any opinions of anything, dude, I'm not hard to get a hold of, for sure. And
Thank you.
and I want to make sure it's said to anybody who's spent the currency of their effort and their attention on anything I've ever done or said or recorded or like want to talk to me about it. I'm not a hard person to get a hold of. You can leave comments on the YouTube videos. You can follow me on any of the social media platforms. My DMs are wide open all the time. So for sure, reach out. You're never alone.
Yep.
We all have to decide that it's time to be kinder to ourselves. And inside of that, maybe what you want will find you easier. If you don't know what it is you're looking for, what you're looking for might not be looking for you. So maybe inside of that, we'll just fuck around and get kinder.
Fuck around and get kinder. I like it. I like it. And the same sentiment to you, man. If you ever need anybody to talk to, I'm always here. I give my number out pretty graciously, and that's a quicker way to get a hold of me. I answer all phone calls unless you're a tax collector and you kiss my ass.
All right. I'm gonna shoot you my number right after we get out of here.
Sounds good.
All right, it's time for that impression.
Okay. What do I say?
Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
Okay. I'm not gonna do Danhausen. I'm gonna do one other though.
Okay, yeah. Your best impression that you've got.
Oh God. Oh God. Be safe. What is it? What is it again?
Be fun, have safe.
Be fun, have safe. Okay. All right. Be fun. Have safe. Keep evolving. Was that good?
Is that Christopher Walken?
Yes. Was it good or was it bad? Because I want to know.
I could tell what it was. It was good. I could tell what it was.
It was bad. It's not gonna hurt my feelings.
The inflection of it, dude, I love it, and I've been doing tons of Christopher Walken impressions lately. Remember the rundown?
Yeah.
Don't make waves. Don't make waves. I've been saying that all the time lately. Anyway, don't make waves. Be fun. Don't. Have safe. Keep evolving. Oh! And we're clear. No, we're not. Yes, we are.